Hi, my name is Matt Cullen-Meyer, and this is a tool that I developed as a financial analyst for a network of charter schools. What I'm going to show in this video is a program used by our accounts payable clerk for processing invoices in a fast and accurate manner. Prior to the existence of this tool, the process went something like this. Upon receiving an invoice, the AP clerk would first determine the correct account codes to use for recording the invoice. This was usually determined by looking at old invoices from the same vendor, looking at the budget, or laboriously digging through our chart of accounts. Once account codes were chosen, these would be scribbled down on the physical invoice. The AP clerk would then email the person responsible for the invoice for approval, and after receiving approval, he or she would enter the invoice into our accounting system. All of this was fairly time-consuming and was definitely not scalable. The tool that I'm about to show you streamlines that process by combining and automating many of those steps. Let's say that I have an invoice in front of me for $1,000 of student computers from World Data Products. I'll begin by entering the invoice number, the date, the amount, and the description. I will then enter the vendor name and select the drop-down menu to ensure that they are recognized in our system. The last and most time-consuming step is to determine the appropriate chart of account codes to use. In this case, we have 9 segments to fill out. One technique I had mentioned is to look at old invoices from the same vendor to use as a reference. Now, instead of digging through file folders or combing through the general ledger, we simply come up to this custom Excel ribbon and select Display Vendor Activity. We are interested in World Data Products, Find History, and here we are presented with a list of invoices paid to this vendor, including all 9 account segments plus a description. I'm going to look for student computers and here find something that might work. The object code for this invoice was 0647. But just to double check that this is accurate, I'm going to look at the title for this account code. And it looks like it's correct, so I will enter it in the appropriate cell. Fund and location refer to a specific school. I'll go ahead and populate those. For some fund, I'm going to want to look at a list. This is a technology expense, so I'm going to use account 20. Looking at the program codes, it appears that 1600 and 2600 are popular choices. Job class is always 999. Restriction is always 1. We're going to want to use a technology grant, therefore we will select it from a list. And lastly, SRE. Again, I'm going to select it from a list. And we're all done. At this point, we can actually retrieve data for how much has been budgeted for computers and how much has been spent year to date for this specific school. In this case, we have a budget of $85,000 and nothing has yet been spent. All of this information, by the way, is coming directly from a Microsoft SQL Server where our accounting records are stored. The next step is to email the persons responsible for approving the invoices. We can actually do that here with the click of a button. The records that we entered on the Pending tab are now cleared, but show up on the Sent tab. We can also see that all of the emails have gone out by checking our inbox. Here's an email to the technology director with our World Data Product invoice on it. Approvers can also view here how they're trending relative to their budget. And if they happen to be going over budget, then they get this angry red warning. Once approved, you can simply come back into the Sent tab, designate the invoices as approved, and move them on to the Approved tab. This sheet is then uploaded directly into our accounting software, meaning that our AP clerk never has to enter the same information twice during the entire process. This concludes a brief overview of the Accounts Payable tool that I developed with the use of Excel, VBA, and SQL.